She was on vacation with her husband and she was watching the landscape go by like anyone would. And that's when she saw it, overlooking the old cemetery, as tall as an old and macabre telephone pole. She wondered if it was contemporary art, but as she got out of the car to take a closer look, the megaphone on the head of this thing lit up. Words without any sense were being broadcast by a strange voice that seemed to be doubled. And it was at that moment that what she thought was a telephone pole started to move and run in her direction.
The SIRENHEAD is a humanoid creature about 12 meters high. Its build, very thin, almost skeletal, is covered with mummified flesh, rust-colored. Its limbs are disproportionate and are particularly long and thin. Its arms are almost as large as its body and end in skeletal hands. At the base of its head and neck, there is only a thin post of flesh, with 2 large speakers on each side. In English, a loudspeaker translates to siren, and that's why it inherited this name. It has various black wires wrapped around what could be called its neck, but also around its shoulders, down to its belly. The speakers are the only metallic parts of its body, and they are as if welded to its neck by flaps of skin, which still allow it to turn its head in the manner of owls. Some say that SIRENHEAD speakers have almost human jaws, long teeth, and a glaring lack of lips. All of this encloses a long retractable tongue, similar to that of snakes. Others say that the teeth are only visible when SIRENHEAD broadcasts certain radio waves through its speakers. No one knows exactly if there are multiple SIRENHEADs, or if it's the same creature that has been seen by several different people. SIRENHEAD has rarely been sighted, and one of the most striking was told by 6 Canadian soldiers who allegedly encountered it and survived its attack. What suggests that there are multiple SIRENHEADs is that, in the various testimonies, the victims all described creatures of varying size, with sometimes different heads. SIRENHEAD is commonly spotted in rural and forested regions. It can flawlessly mimic the voices of its victims' loved ones, luring them closer. Currently, it is still unknown what it does with its victims once it catches them. But some rumors suggest that it either eats them or simply makes them disappear without a trace, adding their voices to the chorus of these colossal loudspeakers. The SIRENHEAD can stay still for hours, but when it is awakened, it emits, through its loudspeakers, excerpts of music, warning messages, alarms, voice imitations, or radio broadcasts. Sometimes, you can even hear it emit crackling sounds, and sounds close to what one might think are alien sounds. When it's not awake, it just emits a kind of continuous white noise. Most often, victims describe that the speakers of SIRENHEAD only emit a series of random words without any real meaning. When they mimic the voice of a human being, the result is very creepy, because the sound that one hears seems to have never been pronounced with vocal cords. SIRENHEAD is very aggressive. It's a seasoned predator, which makes it particularly dangerous. It seems to have a fairly developed intelligence, as it uses techniques such as camouflage and imitation to hide and attract its prey. Apart from that, no one really knows how this creature thinks. For some, it would be the last of its species, and would therefore have an increased will to survive. Some testimonies also tell that, in addition to imitating the voices of the victims' loved ones, SIRENHEAD would use the sounds it liked to cover the screams of the poor people it was hunting, to make sure that no one would come to their rescue. It could just be a hunting technique, but it also suggests a certain form of cruelty. If, as some people report, SIRENHEAD does not devour its victims, this would mean that it hunts solely for pleasure. As you will see in one of the testimonies that I will tell you about later, SIRENHEAD also attacks large groups of people. Its powers are numerous and varied. As mentioned above, SIRENHEAD has the ability to emit different sounds through its speakers. Moreover, it is extremely powerful. Thanks to its size, it would be capable of breaking trees and other massive objects, according to its will. It is also very fast. In one of the reports, a couple mentioned that SIRENHEAD was particularly agile. While they were walking around a cemetery, they spotted SIRENHEAD, who started running at full speed in their direction to catch them. Others still say that SIRENHEAD has such a great genetic resemblance to trees that it can blend perfectly into the forest. Among them, it can thus remain motionless for days and days. It would also be able to blend into public environments by clinging to the ceiling of the least frequented stores, and by letting its speaker stick out, many wires pretending to be just a simple store announcement speaker. In this way, it would catch its victims with its long arms without being detected, and that even in broad daylight. SIRENHEAD is also known for moving without making any noise, which allows it to take its prey by surprise. Finally, SIRENHEAD also has a reputation for being a shapeshifter. That is to say, it is capable of transforming at will, for example, into a street lamp or even a simple piece of furniture. This allowed him, for example, to take over a family of 4 who suspected absolutely nothing. Finally, he acts so discreetly that the only trace of their disappearance was the back door of their house, which had been left wide open. But others say that it's not really SIRENHEAD who would be capable of transforming in this way, but that it would actually be our brain. Because yes, SIRENHEAD would be so difficult for our brain to conceive, that the latter takes care of giving it a rational form that we all know. During one of the most recent appearances of SIRENHEAD, an entire neighborhood was eradicated. The victims were found dead, their eardrums burst. It is not exactly known if SIRENHEAD uses a specific sound or frequency to achieve this effect, or if simply the sound produced is so loud that it leads to death. SIRENHEAD is said to have appeared in many places. For example, in 1966, a family who had gone on vacation in the Arizona desert managed to take a picture of SIRENHEAD, standing next to a cactus. He was also spotted by a boy named Chad and his friends. According to Chad, the gigantic creature was moving through the trees imitating their voices. Chad was found alive with some injuries, but his friends, on the other hand, completely disappeared. In total, there are about 9 reports of SIRENHEAD sightings that have been revealed to the public. Ancient paintings of SIRENHEAD have also been found in North American caves. This suggests that the creature is not a new species to our world, but much older. The very last testimony I'm going to tell you about was only mentioned once in a New York newspaper. Since then, all information regarding these events has completely disappeared. The article mentioned the disappearance of several children in 2014. One of them, named Kyle, was 15 years old. He usually went out quite late in the evening to meet his friends at a bus stop, to talk, laugh, and interact with them away from adults. According to the facts, Kyle left around 8 o'clock and would have called his mother, totally panicked, about 20 minutes after his departure. In the call, he mentioned that his friends were not at the bus stop as planned, and that near one of the street lamps was a huge figure about 30 feet tall, completely motionless. His mother said he believed the object was alive, despite looking like a nearby street lamp, and appeared to have gone insane. And just before his mother decided to go pick him up in the car, Kyle started screaming, saying that the huge creature had moved, and that, from its speakers, he could hear the scream of his friends. All played at the same time. Kyle struggled to describe what was in front of him, but managed to utter a particularly strange sentence. Just before the phone cut off, Kyle's mother heard, "What's most disturbing is that Kyle's mother insisted that it was indeed her son's voice." Since then, Kyle has never been found, and it's also unknown what happened to the rest of his friends. In conclusion, as you've understood, it's extremely difficult to avoid the SIRENHEAD. Few are the people who have survived these appearances, whether in the past or currently. As previously mentioned, we know nothing about its motivations. However, one thing is certain, it only means us harm. So, if you happen to hear strange sounds outside your home, when you're moving in a park, or even on the street, after nightfall, I can only give you one piece of advice, and that is to run as fast as possible and go hide. Find a way to lock yourself in a safe place, because your time will be limited, and you'll no longer be there to testify to its existence.